Here is my attempt at sewing a peplum style top that I designed. Here are the supplies you'll need. 1 yard of fabric for your top. I used this cotton fabric with embroidered flowers on it. Half a yard of cotton fabric for the lining. 3/4 inch braided elastic, and of course a sewing machine. For the skirt part, you'll need 2 pieces, one for the front and one for the back side. Each piece should be your waist measurement plus an inch for seam allowance, by about 10 inches in length. Then you'll want 2 pieces for the straps. My strips are 2 inches wide. Next are the pieces for the waistband. Each should be your waist measurement plus an inch for seam allowance, and I cut these about 3 inches wide. Next are the bodice pieces. Each piece is 15 inches wide by 18 inches tall. I'm cutting 4 pieces here, but I only ended up using 2. You can cut 2 identical pieces for the lining now or later, as I'll show you. Next, cut your piece of elastic to be half your waist measurement plus 1 inch for seam allowance. For the straps, pin each strip right sides together and sew a straight stitch all the way down. Repeat on the other strap. To flip them right side out, I used a safety pin and pulled it through. Next, you should iron them so they lay flat. For the back of the skirt piece, fold one of your waistband pieces wrong sides together and lay the raw edge against one of the skirt pieces right side up and pin these together. Then sew a straight stitch along the edge. Take your piece of elastic and thread it through the waistband using a safety pin, gathering the fabric as you go. I pinned the end of the elastic to the edge of the fabric so I wouldn't pull it all the way out. Then sew the ends of the elastic to the fabric on both sides so it stays in place. For the front of the skirt, take your other waistband piece and cut it to measure half your waist measurement plus 1 inch for seam allowance. Sew a basting stitch along the edge of the front of the skirt piece and gather it so it's the same width as the waistband. Use the longest stitch length and just pull one of the strings through to gather. Fold the waistband piece wrong sides together and lay the raw edge against the skirt piece right side up and pin them together. Then sew a straight stitch along the edge. Lay your 2 skirt pieces together. Here's the back of the skirt right side up, and then I lay the front of the skirt right side down and close the 2 by sewing a straight stitch on both ends. Here I made a template for each chest piece. This part was kind of hard and I just kind of made it up as I went, but I measured the height from my shoulder to my waist, and then I cut a triangle with a rounded bottom, measuring the height that I measured plus a 1 inch seam allowance. The slit here is where the dart will go. Depending on your chest size, you might need a wider or narrower triangle piece as well as dart piece. Here are 2 pieces of fabric laying right sides together. I laid the template on top and cut about 1 inch out for seam allowance. The 2 pieces will mirror each other. Then I cut the lining, laying right sides together to measure the same as those pieces. Match each piece of lining with each piece of fabric and lay them right sides together. Sew a straight stitch along the straight edges, leaving the rounded part open. I cut off some excess fabric along the edges. Next, I cut across the top to allow for one of the straps to go through. Pull one of your straps through and sew a straight stitch across the top. When you flip it right side out, it'll look like this. But leave it inside out for now. For the darts, I placed my template and pinned down where the dart would go on both the lining and the outside fabric. Then I sewed a straight stitch down. Next, I tried on the skirt piece and placed those 2 chest pieces where I wanted them to be and pinned them onto the skirt, showing how far in they should go. Then I made sure they were equidistant and sewed a straight stitch along the very edge of the waistband. It looks like this. Cut off any excess fabric from the inside, and if you're lazy, you can leave it like that, or if you want it to look nicer on the inside, fold it in and pin it and then sew a straight stitch along the bottom of the waistband. Next, I sewed a rolled hem along the bottom of the skirt, so it looks like this. Next, I tried the top on, crossed the straps on the back, and marked with pins where I wanted them to attach to the skirt. I made sure they were equidistant, pinned them to the inside of the skirt, and then sewed the straps down to the elastic using a zigzag stitch. Since I had fabric from the straps left over, I decided to use these as ties on the front of the top. Here is my finished peplum top. I am by no means a professional and just do this for fun, so do what you will with this tutorial. Thanks for watching, please subscribe for more videos.